क्या दिखाओगे? Where is the screen? Where is your MST? यहाँ पे यूट्यूब खोलो. It's fine. That's fine. That's fine. यहाँ पे शुरू नहीं किया ना अब तक.
स्ट्रीमिंग है, ऑनलाइन आ गया.
Okay, fine. That's it. No problem. This is what it will be shown everything. Actually, you should have opened in the browser. Browser में ये सब नहीं होता इतना. YouTube खोल के देखो.
Started. YouTube started.
Yeah.
Cecilia, não doido. Ouvi dire. Nem não aqui. Ai ali. Sai nữa rồi. Vợ hết quay đồ. Con cái đồ. Hello, am I audible?
Yes.
Okay. Hear me?
Hello.
A very good afternoon to one and all present in this game-changing technologies, the series of seminar. And today we're starting a seminar with one of the most popular and revolutionizing technologies, which is very popular in current times. And that's how this is ChatGPT unraveling the conundrum. To begin with, I'll request our director, CSI and East, Dr. G. Narendra Sastry, and this whole seminar is a brainchild of Sir. So I'll request Sir to please give his opening remarks.
Thank you. Good afternoon, one and all. I'm so happy that we are creating an occasion for ourselves to discuss one of the most game-changing technologies of the contemporary times, namely the ChatGPT. These pre-trained transformers have made a huge revolution in the way that machines will compete with humans. The ability of machines to perform tasks have increased tremendously, and with the advance of machine learning tools and various options that were available with artificial intelligence and machine learning, we are able to outsource very, very complicated questions to machines. And these algorithms have played a very important role, and we are able to ask questions which were otherwise impossible to even ask. And when we look at the ChatGPT, its ability to write letters, its ability to provide information was truly amazing. So today we are going to discuss about two main things. The first one is, how does ChatGPT work? What are the methods? What are the algorithms behind that? And we will try to have some sort of an understanding about what are these large language models. What is this pre-trained transformer or generative pre-trained transformers or open pre-trained transformer or PALM methods, and many, many methods are there where we are going to learn how a machine will estimate, how the content that was given to a machine is used in the most intelligent fashion, and it amazes even a man who created that particular machine and algorithm. So the first session will have how does ChatGPT work, and an introduction will be given on generative pre-trained transformers, and also there are many other resources that are there which will be sort of comparable to ChatGPT. We try to learn a little bit about the platform behind the ChatGPT, the large language models in natural language processing, the building the ChatGPT and graphic user interface, the working principles, OpenAI initiatives, ChatGPT to ChatGPT 4, and so on and so forth. Not really to provide you everything that you have to know, but I am very sure that listening to these lectures will give you confidence that you can learn. My dear friends, learning is something which is very, very close to humans. Now, thanks to AI, you can outsource learning. We can outsource a large number of things which are quite interesting. The things that most of us are even afraid to think are possible now, thanks to the advances that are happening in our technologies. When we try to look at this technology, for example, ChatGPT in its own way, we will have to really look at the origin of it and how does it go. I would like to tell you that these technologies have a great background. The history is such that we cannot do, one individual cannot do, one academic institute cannot do. It's a huge commercial activity involving supercomputers working for a very, very large time and developing machine learning algorithms and the large language models in a number of ways. So while it might look very simple for us, the effort that is put behind was told that it was not possible for any single academic institute or a group to do. There is a lot of economy that is involved. There is lots of business that is involved. And we also have to see that how our country will have its own due place. This is possible only when a large number of young people are attracted to that. And we have to see that there is a lot of scope in translation, translating from one language to another language. And there is a lot of scope in areas of business models, business development, and also software and supply chain. And there are a large number of issues which are very highly personal, palliative care, and how we have chatbot technology that one can use. The virtual reality has become clearly very happening place. And when we realize that a lady in US got married to a chatbot only yesterday, that was really very interesting. And we probably are entering into an era where the human relationships will take a different turn. Humans' ability to do things that are human need not be done by human. There is a lot of scope. And having said that, there may be a number of students that I can see in the current group. There may be students who are going to high school. There may be students who are at BSc level, bachelor's level, or master's level, or doing PhD. Are those people who are trying to become innovators and entrepreneurs. At every single stage, there is a huge scope to exploit and employ the ChatGPT. While it is not possible for a day or a couple of have an expertise in ChatGPT, it's better that we have to start. All long journeys start with a single step. And our step is to very effectively start this game-changing technology series, wherein CSIR NEAST would like to really spend some time on this game-changing technology, the ChatGPT, and unraveling the conundrum of this ChatGPT. And this has created waves across the globe within weeks after its announcement. And now, in 2023, if someone wants to talk about an amazing technology which has highly disruptive impact on the society, it not only brings a complete change, the whole ecosystem may undergoing a complete metamorphosis with this wave of ChatGPT. I would like to tell you that this session is followed by, it is more of an academic type of a session, which is followed by applications of ChatGPT in various disciplines. So it starts with how to use the ChatGPT and the content creation for translation and coding, debugging, for data mining and text mining. And also we have some chemistry, cobots, and life sciences, petroleum research, so on and so on. So the choices that were made is to tell you a wide spectrum of possibilities of applications, GPT, and more importantly, we will have to think in different ways, and we can outsource thinking. We can get ideas, and we will have to see how our country will become a leader in this particular area. It's very important. It's not too late, but this will be possible when we try to understand the profound nature of the task that we are facing. It requires a humongous amount of computational power, a large data sets, and how do we deal with them? So there is a lot of investment that is involved if you want to make some huge contribution to that, and a group of people should work on that. So I would like all of you to give your comments on the YouTube and here also in the chat box. It will be not possible for us to address the questions of all of you, but somehow we will try to get back to you to answer your questions. And I would like to announce that CSIR NIS is going to create a core group on ChatGPT, and then we are trying our best to see, at least in the area of bioinformatics, computational drug discovery, and chemoinformatics, we would like to expand the capability of ChatGPT. Our group is very much interested to strengthen the abilities to write codes and share them with public, not only in the country, across the globe. If you want to be leaders in any area, you will have to be in the forefront to give, to be seen as somebody who will be able to provide valuable information. And I feel that somehow we need to take the leadership. And I am very, very happy that our ACDS group in CSIR NIST will be very much looking forward to create a hardcore ChatGPT core group, wherein some of the areas India will contribute, and then we just don't want to be users of some technology, and we wanted to be actively participating in developing the technologies, augmenting the technologies, strengthening the technology. And while ChatGPT is mattering more to the world, we would like to see that India should matter more to ChatGPT. More specifically, CSIR NIST should matter more to ChatGPT in the Northeast region, and specifically in bioinformatics, computational drug discovery, and chemoinformatics. With this, I would like all of you to have a wonderful afternoon discussing about the most modern disruptive technologies, the ChatGPT, unraveling the conundrum, and then I feel that many of you would have to unravel this conundrum yourself and try to spend time. I'm not here advertising that ChatGPT is really important, but this is something which is making waves, which is changing the way people are looking at almost everything. And if active researchers does not focus on these developments and does not pay attention to that, that's not really good. So I am very much looking forward that our group will create a core ChatGPT group wherein we will be working on this, and if and my goal is to see that how we can create employment for the youth of Northeast region. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for such strong remarks on this seminar. And so we'll start this seminar. And just a small request to everyone, all the participants who are here, that we are very much live in YouTube now. And as this is a very online platform, so you can put all your questions over YouTube, and that will be helpful. And instead of raising the hands here, so we'll try to answer the questions in the YouTube.
Welcome all to the first session of today's seminar on ChatGPT, Unravelling the Conundrum. This session is focused on how does ChatGPT work. The panelists for this session are Vaikundamni S., Debashis Sakia, Bikram Fukan, Bitopan Majumdar, Lipsa Priyadarshini and Esther Zamir. They are the technical staff and research fellows of the Advanced Computation and Data Sciences Division of CSIR NIST. This session will be moderated by Hridoy Jyoti Mahanta, Scientist, Advanced Computation and Data Sciences Division.
So the seminar is all about ChatGPT, and it's very interesting. If we can start with something which is called a GPT, or generative pre-trained networks, transformers. So where does it start from is something which is very much essential, because transformer is something which we're discussing right now. So it's all about neural networks. So this is not new, it started long back. Neural networks has been there since many years, and it has been applicable in different fields and different areas. And when it came to language models in around 2003, it became quite popular. I request everyone to please mute yourself. Sorry for this technical glitch. Okay. So that's what I was talking, that we always had neural networks, and it could actually handle a lot of complex data. It got very popular because data is something which we look up when we go for machine learning models or deep learning models. And with neural networks handling complex data types like images, videos, sounds, text, it was very much possible. And as time progressed, different neural networks were developed for different types of data types. For example, we are very much aware of the convolutional neural networks or recurrent neural networks. Convolutional neural networks, CNN, they got very popular with the images and videos, and they can give very, very popular with high accurate results. The same was with recurrent neural network. They could handle text to quite a large extent. But then what happened? What is the problem? Why did you have to switch from neural networks to transformers? So the main question the main problem or issue which came up was mainly handling the text sequence. We know when we talk about language, since ChatGPT is all about natural language processing, so we'll be focusing more on the language models. So when I talk about language models, the sequence is one of the most important things. Sequence, in other words, is like the order of the words. So whenever we're processing a text in any model, the order in which is processed and the order in which we should get the output, that matters a lot. And that was one of the very, very big problem or challenge when we had models like recurrent neural networks. Why? Because recurrent neural networks, they could handle text to some extent. But when it was very long sequence of text, there were many issues. First, like when there was a very long sequence, the moment the training reaches the last end of the input data, it forgets what was the train initially. And secondly, RNNs is very difficult when we try to train huge amount of data. No matter you use GPU or very, very high computation, parallelization was always a problem when we talk about RNN networks. And when solution was searched for, we had the transformers. Look at what are transformers. They are actually nothing but again neural network models. But this time they are really big models. And if you ask how big, these are really, really big because these models can be trained with terabytes of data. And these transformers, when they were trained in a very, very significant way, they could generate text, they could generate poems, they could generate contents, even computer codes. And this appeared for the first time in 2017 with a paper called Attention is All You Need. And that was from the Google team, in which the lead was Ashish Vashwani, who is an Indian by origin and currently in Google for a quite a long time. And their team developed this concept of transformers. So what makes this transformer so special? Since I'm telling that again, it's a neural network, what makes it different? So if you look a little bit more deeper into it, the transformers are having three main components: positional encoding, attention, and self-attention. So what is positional encoding? So this is very much related to issue that I told about the sequence. So when we train a model using RNN or other neural networks rather than transformer, we always handle with the sequence of data. But what can transformers do? They also record the sequence in which the word or the data appears. For example, in a sentence, if it's an input, every single text in the sentence will be numbered. So what happens is when a large number of text is being trained, along with the data, even the positions of this text is trained for the model. Hence, when a large amount of data gets trained, machine learns what actually should be the position of each individual text.
You are not audible.
Oh, I'm very sorry. I think I got mute. So I was talking about why transformers are very, very special. So basically, there were three main components which makes it very, very special, or you can call it a very special neural network. The first is positional encoding. So where you see the other neural networks, they train a huge amount of data only. In transformers, along with the data, even the position of the data or the text which is there as an input, that is also getting trained. So what happens is whenever a large amount of data, like terabytes of data is being trained, then along with the data itself, even the positions get trained. And the model now is able to realize or understand that in which order should a particular word or an output text appear in a particular translated sentence. That's called positional encoding. The second one is attention. When we had natural language processing, we always has the concept of a window in which, or you can call a reference window, in which a particular word in a particular sentence can look couple of words be in a prefix or couple of words as suffix. So this called a reference window. So this was very common when we had a very initial models, the NGRA models in natural language processing. And when we went to RNN, there was a reference window, but that was not as long as it should be. And that is the only reason for which I mentioned that when the RNN training reaches the last word, it forgets what was the beginning. And that gives a confusion in the entire sequence of the word. Whereas in case of transformers, we have a very, very large reference window. And indeed, this is an infinite reference window. So no matter how long or how huge the context is been given as the input, the model never forgets the sequence which was the first word or the middle word. This helps it to learn a lot and give the desired output as required. And what the most interesting which came up was mainly the self-attention. The self-attention is something which is very, very unique in case of transformers. This is nothing but again a type of attention, but what happens is in this case, the model tries to learn from its own input. It applies the algorithm on itself rather than an input text or the generating the output text. It applies self-algorithm to itself. Hence, the attention is now not only in what is the input given to the model, but attention to everything that the model has learned. And this helps it to learn not only a single language, but even multiple languages automatically. So the more you train the more the machine learns itself. So let us look at some of the architectures, because as we're talking about GPT or generative pre-trained transformers, so let's start with what is pre-trained or pre-training. So basically there are three types of pre-training. There's an encoder, which takes the input of the text, and because it is bidirectional, that means it looks at the suffix and prefix. It is very difficult to apply in the language modeling because sequencing becomes difficult because it has a limited scope of looking at a preference, or you can say the reference window is not very large. But what it can do is that it is very helpful to predict what are the hidden words in the future. For example, if there is a sentence and we don't know what is the word which is going to come next, then this type of encoders are very helpful for this. And on the other hand, we have the decoders. The decoders takes the input from the encoders and they can analyze these and put it on the sequence. Hence, when the sequence is there, which is not there in encoder, the decoders can be easily used in a large language model or even a language model, not large. Hence, this type of decoders can be used in generation of text, generation of dialogues, text summarization, and many others. So what is the demerit of both, or what is the merit of both, that can be combined together to an architecture when we're using both of them, that is the encoders and decoder. So this solves two problems. Here we have a very large window to look at, and also we can have the prediction probability, like what is the future word. So if we mix both of them, we can actually use the large language model now. Along with predicting the word which is going to appear next, the same model will also be able to handle and do activities like text summarization, dialogue creation, etc. etc. This concept is being used when we look at the architecture of the transformers. So this is the architecture which has been taken from the core paper where it was published. The attention is all you need in 2017. And if you can see, this architecture clearly has both encoder and decoder. Along with this, it is the self-attention mechanism, which I told that this is one of the most unique property of transformers. We can see that there are three different attentions in this particular architecture, out of which this is the self-attention in the encoder itself. Then there's another self-attention in the decoder. As a whole, there's an attention network in the entire architecture. So with three different types of attention, which you can also call the multi-head attention, you can imagine the amount of learning that is possible in this single architecture. And when we talk about the complex architecture, we can have a similar transformers n number of times. It can be n types of decoder, even n types of encoder. And the more you have the layers, and the more you can learn. And this actually contributes in the large language models. So we have known what is pre-training or pre-trained. We have seen the transformers. So there is also a new concept of AI which came up, which is called generative AI. So this is nothing but a part of deep learning. So when deep learning was further excavated, it could be clearly separated into two different classes, discriminative and generative. But a discriminative class do one kind of task, that is only classification. Generative subclass can actually generate some new knowledge or new informations. So generative AI or Gen AI is some set of algorithms of deep learning which were meant to generate images, text samples, videos, sounds, which has been trained by a huge amount of training data. So this became very famous in natural language processing and even image and sound processing. And when we combine this is a clear, simple example of how both techniques work. When there's a discriminative technique, this deep learning model can actually classify that the image is of a dog. But when I go for generative modeling, based on the input, the output can be actually an image of a dog. So actually, what is GPT now? So we have pre-trained transformer, we have generative AI. So if we combine all of them, so once we use the pre-trained transformers to generate some tasks like that is being done by ChatGPT, generating text or summarization or anything else, or even codes, we have a common terminology which can be called as generative pre-trained transformers or GPT. So if we look at clear evolution of this, how it has evolved, I mentioned in the very initial remarks that this is not new. Neural networks is very common. It has been used long back in 70s and 80s. But in language, it started in 2003. for the very first time. Word2Vec, globe embedding, these were very famous during the natural language processing, which was implemented. And then when deep learning came up, the LSTM, and in 2017 Transformers, 2018 GPT, then various versions of GPT came up. And in March 2023, the ChatGPT came up, the GPT-4, which is a very, very advanced model. And in the right side, you can see the table where it shows the number of parameters it gets training. So when GPT-4 is launched, it is expected that it's going to learn trillions and trillions of data. So you can imagine the game-changing technologies perhaps yet to come. What you can see from all these things is that whenever we get a emerging technology which changes the revolution of it's a revolution in technology, definitely someone might have asked the right question, right? So whenever there's a disruptive metamorphosis in scientific discovery, definitely some questions has been asked. And we here in the Advanced Computation Data Science Division of CSI NIST, we also have made some attempts to ask some fundamental questions for which the answers were never clear. And we have used the AI/ML techniques because they are the ones which are used to model, to train and get some answers, prediction some answers. And fortunately, we did get answers. So I'll just say a few of our examples before I conclude this first talk. So we wanted to know that if we can find out whether a compound which is totally unknown to us, it's new, whether candidate be having any antiviral potential or not, without going to the wet lab and doing some fundamental testing. Then yes, machine learning, if it is integrated with chemoinformatics, we can definitely make some predictions based on the physical properties, whether that compound is antiviral or not. Another can be like, this is very common, is there's a lot of clinical trials going on in which only some of the drugs pass through and some of the fail. And this is a huge amount of budget that is being invested in clinical trial. So is there any way in which you can find out that if a new drug is going to fail, can we predict what the probability is going to fail in any of those phases? And when we used, again, the machine learning model, trained them with a lot of features from previously detected toxic and even those which are currently approved drugs, we could find that to a certain level, machine learning models can access the failures in clinical trials whenever there's a new candidate in the market. Or to conclude, looking at the blood-brain permeability, which is very, very common whenever a new drug is being developed, when the drug is being developed, is a very common test which is being done, whether the drug should either cross the permeability barrier or not, blood-brain barrier or not. In this case, deep learning-driven model was again trained using the physical properties with a very, very large amount of data. And we could find that using deep learning to a very, very higher accuracy, we can actually predict a compound, does it have the permeability property or not. And one of the very common things, since we are in the Northeast and Advanced Computation Data Science is a division in the CSI NIST, which is the only CSI lab in the entire Northeast. What we lacked was mainly if we could actually conserve the traditional knowledge of Northeast and even pan-India. So we picked a very small area of the medicinal plants because we know the Northeast is very, very rich of biodiversity. And hence, the first ever database of the medicinal plants was developed by a team from the Advanced Computation Data Science under the direction and supervision of director, who is also head of this division. And this database was created. And within a very short time, after this database was launched, the whole team was again engaged to cover the entire India, and considering all the states and union territories, we could provide one of the largest and comprehensive database of medicinal plants so far, and it was named as Aushadhi. And finally, the whole group of the division is very much familiar with the one questions which try to find out every time if we can, or we can say this is something in which the whole group is focused, is if we can de-addict ourselves as well as do something for the academic institutions so that they can be free from using the commercial softwares. And in this case, again, under the leadership of our group leader, Dr. Sastry, we are actually very much involved in developing an indigenous software called Molecular Property Diagnostic Suite. And as I already mentioned, we are very much acquainted and very much equipped with solving our problems by writing codes. And more importantly, we attempt to make these codes available to all so that they can be used, they can be modified, and further reuse the developed ones. So with this goal, I will just take this seminar forward and I'll come back to ChatGPT. So I'll move ahead with the next talk on the platform behind ChatGPT by S. Vaikundamani. Vaikundamani, you can please go ahead with your talk.
Yes, sir. I think I am audible. Now we are going to look at the platform behind the ChatGPT. First of all, we all know what is platform. The place where we interact with something that is called platform. Here, I am going to talk about the place where we are interacting with the ChatGPT. The ChatGPT platform is basically based on GPT 3.5 architecture. We all know that what is architecture. It is represented how the model, technology, and software has been designed and developed structurally. That is called architecture. The ChatGPT platform has been designed and developed with the help of GPT 3.5 architecture. The underlying technology behind the GPT 3.5 architecture is deep learning. It is basically utilizing a transformer neural network model, which is a type of deep learning model. The transformers, which is used here, are known for their effectiveness in processing and generating the natural language because it is based on encoding and decoding mechanism as told by Dr. Udayjyothi. Now I am going to the point directly what is exactly the platform of ChatGPT. It is called API. It means by application programming interface. API is an application that is act as an interface to interact with the model or technology or software what we are designed. Here I am showing a simple example where is the platform or how the platforms are working here. In this representation, so you just look at the representation, we can understand where the platform is here. So it is a web interface here because the OpenAI organization developed the platform as a web interface. A user or developers log into the language model through the web browser. Then the language model accepts it and provides a prompt to send a request. After that, we can get the generated contextually relevant response through the platform from the language model. So related to the answer is what question we asked actually. The next here, let us take a real-time example, the railway station platform as a ChatGPT platform. So then we can understand very easily the railway station platform primarily focused on a physical space for train operations and the passenger movement. The ChatGPT platform is a digital platform. Here only focused on facilitating the interaction with an AI language model, which is created by the OpenAI. So here I'm going to compare the 5 factors on both the platforms. The factor 1 is infrastructure. The railway station provides the physical space and infrastructure for trains to arrive and depart. Similarly, the platform behind ChatGPT provides the computational infrastructure and resources necessary for the language model to run. It ensures that the model is available and ready to process your user request, whatever we are giving in the prompt. So next, the factor 2 is interaction and connectivity. On a railway station platform, passengers interact with the station staff, ticketing systems, and information boards to get the information, purchase the tickets, and board the trains. Similarly, on the ChatGPT platform, the developers and users interact with the API to send the request and receive the generated response from the language model. The factor 3 is the scalability. Scalability means in the railway station platforms are designed to handle the large volume of passengers according to multiple trains are coming and going and ensure that the smooth flow of the people also. Similarly, the platform behind the ChatGPT is built in to handle the high volume of API requests, allowing the number of users to simultaneously interact with the language model without experiencing significant delays or the performance issues. The factor 4 is timeliness and responsiveness. Here I mean that railway platforms strive to provide timely and accurate information to passengers about train schedules, delays, and platform changes. Similarly, the ChatGPT platforms aims to deliver the prompt and contextually relevant response to the user queries, also mimicking the human-like conversation. The last and least factor is service and improvement. The railway station platforms continually working on improving and overall experience for the passengers and addressing issues and also incorporating feedbacks. Similarly, OpenAI's platform behind the ChatGPT undergoes updates and enhancements based on user feedback and ongoing research, aiming to improve the capabilities and usability of the language model. So that's all. Now, I hope you people can understand very well the platform behind the ChatGPT and how it is working also. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, Petroleum. So we'll move ahead to one of the most important parameter in GPT or ChatGPT, that is large language models. So I request Debasis Sekia to please go ahead with your talk.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. So thank you for joining us today in this seminar about game-changing technologies, specifically about ChatGPT. So till now, we have learned quite a bit about the framework of ChatGPT. So now, let me introduce you to a thing called that is LLM, or known as large language models. So it's basically nothing but an advanced AI model that is trained to generate human-like text. So these models utilize deep learning techniques, specifically transformer architecture, to process and generate the natural languages. So some of the examples of LLM, that is Turing NLG, that is developed by Microsoft, then Gopher is developed by DeepMind, and T5 is developed by Google, and our own GPT, that is developed by OpenAI. So before we understand how exactly LLM works, let us see what different types of this model exist. So we have three models. So first one is auto-regressive language models. The second one is auto-encoding models, and thirdly, we also have a combination of both models. So basically, GPT that made ChatGPT possible is based on auto-regressive language model. So auto-regressive models generate text by predicting the next word in a sequence given the previous word. So they are trained to maximize the likelihood of each word in the training data set. So the next one is auto-encoding language model, or for example, BART. So what happened in auto-encoding models? So on the other hand, to learn to generate a fixed size vector representation, that is also called as embeddings of input text by reconstructing the original input from the masked or corrupted version of it. So they are trained to predict missing or masked words in the input that is given by us. So, and there is a third model, which is the combination of both, that is combination of auto-encoding and auto-regressive. So T5, that is developed by Google, is an example of this model. So now speaking of these auto-regressive language models, so they work by predicting the next words as accurately as possible from the given prompts. Let's see here. So given input is introducing new smartphone, the Ultraphone 3000, which is designed to, it will generate the text after design tool. So it will generate the text like this, that you redefine your mobile experience with its cutting edge technology and unparalleled performance. So for secondly, auto encoding models, interestingly, they learn to fill up the gaps in a sentence from the surrounding text so that it makes maximum sense. For example, here is an input. The latest superhero movie had an dash storyline, but the visual effects were dash. So it will generate the text like this. The latest superhero movie had a decent storyline, but the visual effects were mind blowing. So decent and mind blowing, this word will be generated via this auto encoding model. So now we are looking at the key building blocks that actually make LLM work. So first is tokenization. So tokenization is the process of converting a sequence of text into an individual words. So these words, after converting into individual words, we do embedding. So embedding are continuous vector representation of words, or you can say tokens. So after that, attention happens. So as Sir told, attention mechanism in LLMs, particularly the self-attention mechanism that is used in transformers, allow the model to weigh the importance of the defined word or phrases in a given context. After attention phase is done, then we go for the LLM is go for pre-training. So pre-training is the process of training an LLM on a large data set, usually unsupervised or self-supervised learning. Before this data set fine-tuned for a specific task. So after pre-training is done, then we do the transfer learning. So transfer learning is the technique of leveraging the knowledge gained during pre-training and applying it to a new related task. So these are the key building blocks of and large language model. So thank you.
Thank you, Debashish. GUI, or the graphical user interface, is one of the parameter in which a software's quality or usability can be defined. So how is the ChatGPT GUI? So I request Vikram Fukan to please provide some of insights in this area.
Thank you so much, sir. Good afternoon, everyone. Now we will be looking at building the ChatGPT GUI. So as you all know that GUI means graphical user interface, in which user interacts with the graphical components such as icons, buttons, menus, etc. How OpenAI made the GUI for ChatGPT? The main programming language used in development of ChatGPT is Python, but we don't know the implementation and exact architecture disclosed by OpenAI. So next slide, we can see the opening link of the website of ChatGPT. It's also available in Android and iOS platform. The user has to sign up and give all his details, and then he can log in. It's the main login screen of ChatGPT, and then the user can type their messages. Then the ChatGPT will give the desired results to them in the chat box given at the bottom of the page. So yes, the user has already put up a question which the ChatGPT answered. Coming to the next slide. The programming language we have to use in order to build the GUI of ChatGPT, like Python, C#, Java has to be selected, which is more comfortable to work upon. Then GUI framework like for Python, libraries like tkinter, pyqt, pyslide can be used. And for JavaScript frameworks like React, Angular with HTML or CSS can be used. Then the layout of the GUI has to be designed, which includes input fields, output displays for chat display, buttons, and any other components needed. The ChatGPT API connection has to be done for the successful conversation. The HTTP request will be sent to API endpoint, and the user sends the inputs. Uh, Besides that, we also have to look upon the error or exceptions occur during conversation, uh, which we have to consider for designing the GUI of the application. An error message or explanation for any difficulty understanding the message should be displayed by ChatGPT. Also, user experience has to be enhanced, and any further improvement required has to be implemented. And at last, rigorous testing of the application features has to be done, and the user feedback should be taken for any further improvement. That's what we can see about the graphical user interface. Uh, Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Vikram. So basically, the GPT models are available in OpenAI and they can be downloaded from different sources and can be integrated into a platform which any user can make. And this flowchart is a kind of the steps which needs to be followed whenever you're using GPT to your own kind of applications. So moving ahead, let's see now at the working principle. Like when you give an input, we get a very, very profound output from ChatGPT. So how does it work? Or we have seen the various terminologies like transformers, language models, and all. So now let's go a little bit more deeper into the principle, how it works. For this, I request Peter to please get it.
Not able to see the screen. Means the PPT.
Now?
No.
PPT is not visible.
Fine, I'll reshare it. Is it visible now?
Yes, it's visible.
Please, Bitcoin, you can go ahead.
Good afternoon to all of you. I'd like to give a brief overview of the working principle of ChatGPT. It mainly consists of 3 stages. Generative pre-training. Here, a raw language model is trained on text data, that is the internet data. Supervised fine-tuning. In the next phase, the LLM model that is generated in the first stage is trained to mimic the ideal behavior of chatbot so that it can understand the question-answer framework. In the third step, reinforcement learning from human feedback is done. Here, human preferences over alternative model outputs are used to define a reward function for additional training with RL. Basically, in each stage, the previous model is fine-tuned. Now coming to stage 1, Now coming to stage 1, a large language model is trained to predict the next token. To do so, a neural network with 96 layers and 175 billion parameters is trained by using the large content of the internet, which has about 500 billion tokens. And once it is trained, if you give an input sequence to this model, it can generate the next text that is grammatically correct and semantically similar to the internet data. Mathematically, the language model outputs a probability distribution over all the words in its vocabulary, indicating how likely each word of the vocabulary to come next. That is, using the model, we can generate new text. For example, if we give a sequence, Rahul painted his, then the model will respond that Rahul painted his house. Since the word house has the highest probability among all the others in the vocabulary. Similarly, if we feed the output of the first output to the model, then the model will predict on as the next token, and finally it will give Rahul painted his house on Sunday. LLM models are good. It can understand the patterns, grammars, and semantics from internet, but it is not sufficient for an ideal chatbot. And again, LLM is a very complex architecture. It has a very complex architecture, and it is trained on very large amounts of data. So an organization having such facility of high competition can only afford this type of training. And as an user, once we have a large training model, if it is pre-trained, then we can fine-tune it for performing some specific task. The goal of ChatGPT is to work in a question answer environment. So please go to the second page. So it was taught to perform natural language tasks using carefully engineering fixed forms. Here, human acts as both the user and ideal chatbot to generate the supervised dataset. Mainly, the LLM model is not sufficient, so we need to go a step ahead and fine-tune so that it is preferable and it can behave like a chatbot. In the third step, the model is further fine-tuned so that it is safe. Here, human levelers rank the alternative response of the model and the actual response of the model. And based on this ranking, this reward model is trained. And finally, the PPO policy is used for training the reinforcement learning model. With this training by PPO algorithm, we get the final ChatGPT model. Now coming to the user interaction, ChatGPT understands the conversation and it understands the context. For example, if I ask who is the Prime Minister of India, then ChatGPT will know that India and Prime Minister is the context, and it will respond. The Prime Minister of the India is Narendra Modi. Again, ChatGPT passes the enter pass conversion every time a new prompt is entered. So if I put a second question, what is his age? Then it is the ChatGPT will know the user is asking about the Narendra Modi, the Prime Minister of India. So it will reply the age of Narendra Modi, that is 72 years. Now, to be safe, the ChatGPT all the queries of the users and all the replies of the model are passed through the moderation API so that some harmful, toxic, or unethical contents can be blocked, or it can be warned, the user can be warned about that. Finally, to conclude, ChatGPT leverages the advantages of neural network or large language model, prompt engineering, and reinforcement learning with human feedback. And it tries to respond in a question answer framework so that it is safe. With this, I thank all the participants.
Thank you, Pratibhan. The OpenAI is basically an American AI research lab, and which has been very much popular since it has been using GPT in various applications, and one of the most prominent thing in the ChatGPT. To see what the various initiatives of OpenAI, I request Lipsa to please give some insights on this.
Thank you, sir. Hello, everyone. I would like to discuss some of the notable initiatives undertaken by OpenAI, an organization at the forefront of artificial intelligence research and development. OpenAI is dedicated to collect enormous information, codes, algorithms, software, natural language processing, translator, interpreter, and encourage people to develop modules by providing scholarship if necessary. It makes an artificial intelligence model to provide most convenient and easy to use, efficient platform to exploit these models. There are various initiatives taken by the OpenAI for the new advancement. Uh, Among them, there are fewer cooperation and collaboration, which actively collaborate with other research institutions, industry partners, and organizing to share knowledge, exchange, and idea and collaborative advances in the field of artificial intelligence. APIs of OpenAI, it's basically the application programming interface which provides a convenient way to integrate natural language processing capabilities into the applications, products, or services where the users can use any programming language such as Python, JavaScript, or any language of their interest to access to the HTTP request. Then the OpenAI provides the plugins that allows developers to integrate OpenAI's language model into their own developed applications. OpenAI's research publication covers a broad range of topics, including language models, reinforcement learning, robotics, and many more. So, likewise, there are many more categories also, which includes documentation, community, and so on and so forth. Now, let's take a quick look at the timeline of the OpenAI's journey. So, OpenAI was officially founded in the year 2015 by Elon Musk and his research collaborators. In the year 2016, OpenAI Gym, which is the open source Python toolkit, was released to develop and compare reinforcement learning to other platforms. In the year 2018, OpenAI first introduces the concept of generative pre-trained transformer, which is already developed, and now we are currently using the ChatGPT, the advanced version. So in the next year 2019, shifts from non-profit status to followed by the DALI 2 and the ChatGPT in the year 2022. The current year witnessed the development of GPT-4 with new and advanced model as well as technologies. So there are a number of selective projects releases among which GPT-3 have achieved remarkable performance in the tasks like text generation, language translation, questions answering, and many more. DAL-E and DAL-E2, which analyzes the text-based descriptions of images that users want them to produce, and then again regenerate those images according to the text input text. Then comes the contrastive language image pre-training, which is a neural network model that aims to understand images and text both through pre-training a model on a large dataset of both image and text pairs. So codex is a trained on billions of lines of codes in various programming languages. So the main context of codex is to understand and generate code. Whisper is labeled as the automatic speech recognition model, which is in general can be called as the speech to text translator. Coming to the next slide, the OpenAI has several competitors in the field of artificial intelligence, and among them some notable companies and organizations that are considered competitors in current scenarios. So few among them are Google Artificial Intelligence, which is a leader in artificial intelligence, machine learning, as well as the robotics, then the natural language processing, and so on. And Google has recently announced Google AI Bard, which is similar to the ChatGPT and broadly used by the users. Microsoft Artificial Intelligence is focused on creating AI-powered products and services and has made significant progress in the field of natural language processing and computer vision in particular. So IBM Watson has a long history in AI and ML, and its Watson platform is focused on the providing AI-powered solution for business and organization. Likewise, Baidu is a Chinese company which is almost comparable to the Google, and it also follows the artificial intelligence model, and it also contributes to the areas such as speech recognition, natural language processing, and so on. Then comes the DeepMind. DeepMind is a UK-based AI company, and that was acquired by the Google in the year 2015. And recently, the DeepMind has launched uh, the AlphaFold, which is a big platform for the 3D protein structure prediction by giving the amino acid sequences. So, overall, OpenAI's initiatives propelling the field of AI forward, empowering the developers and researchers to create initiative solutions in various fields and implementing various applications to their research field. So, thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you, Lipsy. So we'll move now to the final topic for this session, and where we're trying to look at like how the GPT has been elevating. It started all the way in 2017 with the Transformers, GPT 2001 in 2018, and so on. And in 2023, GPT-4 has been launched. So this entire elevation, I'd like to request Esther Jamir to please give us some added input.
Good afternoon, all. I'll be discussing about evolution from GPT-3 to highly anticipated GPT-4. So, as an advanced language model, GPT-3 has revolutionized natural language processing with its ability to generate coherent and contextual relevant text. But what lies ahead? Let us explore the potential advancement and possibilities of GPT-4. Let's begin with a brief overview of GPT-3, which was released in June 2020 by OpenAI. GPT-3 consists of around 175 billion parameters, allowing it to perform wide range of tasks such as language translation, chatbots, and content generation, and many more. While GPT-3 represents a remarkable achievement in the field of NLP, there lie some limitations of GPT-3. It includes lack of context coherence, occasional factual inaccuracy, and also tendency to produce plausible but incorrect answers. So in regard to this, GPT-4 aims to address these challenges with improved and advanced models. Now with this, let us look into the few potential enhancements in GPT-4. First, it is the capability for image inputs. GPT-4, it uses image inputs where users can provide specific instructions or queries that involves both visual and as well as textual information. Then it is followed by contextual understanding, where it includes enhanced understanding with better coherence in text generation, with reduced biases and improved control over the generated output. Then, in compared to GPT-3, GPT-4 has around 100 trillion parameters, which allows it to have larger databases, higher speed, and better performance compared to GPT-3. Then it is followed by improved factual performance, where it has a higher score of around 40% on OpenAI internal factual performances benchmark and produces fewer factual errors compared to GPT-3. Then the other one is the improved controllability, where GPT-4 is more controllable, which allows to users to tell it to write in different styles, tones, or voices. So these are the few potential enhancements in GPT-4 that differs it from GPT-3. Now, there are various platforms that allows us to use GPT-4 for free. So I will be discussing few of them where you can easily access this GPT-4 without costing any cost in an open source platform. So first is the Forefront AI. So Forefront AI, it is a AI personalized chatbot platform that uses ChatGPT and GPT-4 on the back end, and this model is free, and it allows this platform allows you to easily train multiple large language model as your own AI model for various other unique and specific tasks. Then the second one is the Hugging Face. This is a AI research organization and open source software library. It focuses on NLP and deep learning, and also hosts a web app called Chat with GPT-4. So this libraries, it provides high level API and wide ranges of pre-trained models for various NLP tasks, including text classification, named entity recognition, then machine learning translation, and question answering. Then looking into the next one, which is the Ping AI. This Ping AI is a artificial intelligence technology which is integrated into the Microsoft search engine. It is fast, accurate. It is a very fast and accurate search engine. And to assist this, one can sign in with a Microsoft account, and then using the chat bottom which is available in the platform, you can use it for tasks such as for writing blogs, email, identify object, image search, etc. So these are the few platforms that allows us to test GPT for free. So with this, we can say that with the GPT-4's enhanced contextual understanding, improved factual accuracy, and potential advancement in few shots and zero-shot learning, this GPT-4, it holds the promises of unlocking new fronts in various fields. Thank you.
Thank you, Esther, and thank you all the speakers of this session. So with this, we would wind up the first session for this today's seminar. And I hope this seminar has definitely given you some fundamental insights on the science behind it and the mechanism behind it. So before moving to the second session, we'll take a quick 10 minutes buffer break so that we can look at our networks. But meanwhile, we'll be very happy to provide you some glimpse of our works during this short break. Thank you. Please be with us.
मेरा यहाँ पे हेडफोन कनेक्टेड
वॉल्यूम आ रहा है?
वॉल्यूम नहीं आ रहा है इसलिए क्या
म्यूजिक कुछ नहीं?
नहीं आ रहा है
This is YouTube. Check whether volume is there.
साउंड आ रहा है कहाँ से आ रहा है साउंड आवाज नहीं आ रहा है उसका
ना
वीडियो कैसे हो रहा है हेडफोन का वीडियो आ रहा है
If
A very good afternoon to everyone. I hope I am audible.
yes, yes.
Yeah, thank you. So the first session of this particular ChatGPT was mainly focused towards
और एक explanation करेगा तो यही
the
पढ़ाई
it focused towards that is how ChatGPT is working and what are the algorithms behind that. So the second session is how this particular ChatGPT can be useful for the different type of applications, especially in our education, and also that how we can perform the coding, and if we are writing the code, how we can debug our code. So such type of things will be discussed in the second session. So before that, I'll just give a very brief overview how this particular ChatGPT is considered as the most useful app. So this particular slide already we discussed by Esther and our other colleagues. So the GPT version 1, it was the initial version, which was developed in the year of 2018, and it contains 116 million records along with the different type of parameters. So when time goes, so the particular record also has been increased, and it has been useful for different type of purposes. And in the GPT-2, it has around 1.4 billion of records, including the different type of parameters. And it is very much helpful for accurate performance on range of language tasks, including language production and translation, especially for the language conversion. And GPT-3 is the biggest GPT model, and very recently that GPT-4 also has started. And the GPT-3 has the capacity of 173 billion parameters, and it has been introduced in the year of 2020, and it received high appreciation for its sophisticated language abilities. And also it is able to carry out a variety of language activities without task-specific fine-tuning. But still, some of the language is still, it is a questionable that how it has to be improved with the various different type of training data to improve the particular model. So what are the different type of key components in the ChatGPT OpenAI? So as mentioned in the first session, it is a very generative pre-trained transformer model, and it is trained with a large volume of corpus and text data, and it produces writing that resemble as human speech. And it is a large natural language processing system, and it is able to categorize the text, and it is able to create the new text, and it is it is very well established to answer the questions which users are asking. And it is also trained with the news articles, books, and web pages and other data. And it is a large scale model with a very vast language model with more than billion parameters. And it is able to comprehend a wide range of topics, right from computer science, biology, chemistry, material science, etc., etc. And there is no limit for this particular what are the things that which we can ask, because that it is quite very vast with the data which is available in the ChatGPT model. And also it is very much aware, I mean the ChatGPT is very much aware the context and what type of question that we are asking and what type of answer that it should give. And it is also available as an open AI API. It's like a plugin where easily it can be incorporated in the different type of apps with where the users, for example, if you are developing your own app, so we can easily use this particular open AI as a plugins to enumerate this particular app in your or in your own app, and you can customize your app based on that integrating with the ChatGPT.
And it is also process of developing the model on a smaller and more specific data set. And also it enables the personalization and adaptability in the ChatGPT using apps. So here I will just try to explain how this particular algorithm gets started and how it is working. This particular algorithm, this ChatGPT, this proximal policy optimization is the initially developed by this OpenAI, where they are extensively used in the ChatGPT model. For example, that in the initially how they have in the initial thing that 2018 I have mentioned that they have the large corpus of data. So how they have trained this particular model is first they have collected data. So they have collected some small sample of data. For example, that if you are able to explain to a 6 years old kid, so it will ask some questions. If whatever that if you are showing, that it will ask some questions. So based on the way that how we are reacting or we are explaining to them, it will learn from them. The same way, first the sample data has been given along with the label information, and after that, this data is used to fine-tune the GPT. So that's why that this particular step is known as supervised fine-tuning, because we already given the labels. So what type of data is that? So that ChatGPT has learned some pre-information about the context what we are talking about. After that, what it has happened is once it has learned sufficiently, then the prompt and the several model outputs are sampled. So now again we have the data where how this particular original data and also that what are the labels, all this information were again given to that machine learning algorithm, because already it has been trying to give some output. So whether it is giving the same output or different output, based on that we have given that rewards and punishment based on that outcome what the particular algorithm has given. For example, if you showing the for example, if you are writing the cat, whether it is able to produce the word cat, or if you are giving us a dog, it is able to give us a dog. So if it is giving some other alternative information, so we are going to give some punishment, which means like we are going to give some negative mark. As well as if it is giving the right answer, we are going to give some reward in the form of positive number like that. So then, based on that, the labeler ranks the output from the best to worst. Then after that, how this particular algorithm has been trained, it is based on the best to worst, based on the prediction what it has been made. So all this data has been considered, and this particular process is known as reward model. So this reward model has been given as input for the proximal policy optimization algorithm. So in this case, what actually it is happening is now you are giving the sample data set and for example, write a story about the particular orders. So what type of information you are getting from that, whether it is correct or not. If it is correct, you are going to give some reward. If it is wrong, you are going to give some punishment. In that process, in the several iteration, the particular algorithm able to understand on what context the question is asked, question is being asked to that particular algorithm. So what type of response it has to give. So like that, it has generated for the larger and larger data, and finally it has been emerged as a ChatGPT. So here, what I want to show is in the first session, one of the speaker has mentioned about the OpenAI. So this was the first one where there's some imaginary, what we can say, that imaginary images has been generated from the OpenAI. For example, even people has asked some funny question like how the astronauts, if they have riding the horse. So if you see that OpenAI, you could find such type of images that astronauts riding the horse. So how actually it has happened is now you can have any type of imagination based on that. For example, if you are asking a prompt, a sunlit indoor launch area with a pool containing a flamingo. So the particular algorithm will understand what is flamingo, and it is also understand sunlit indoor launch area with a pool. So first, actually, it is considering this image as a taken. For example, this a sunlit indoor launch area with a pool. After that, it will try to mask with the flamingo. So based on this, the final output has been generated for the user input. So this particular OpenAI, but as of now, this particular APIs are all is not free of cost. So we have to pay the money to use this particular OpenAI text to speech conversion and also this. But always we can access this type of things in the OpenAI direct platform. When if you want to integrate with our own software, then we have to pay and we have to access that API keys. And on the other example, so here I would to show you this. For example, that you have that audio with the with the MP3 file conversion. After that, this has been given as an input, and this transcript function will convert this particular audio file into text. Even they have tried with the different type of languages, and nearly it has been tried with I mean as the 16 to 17 languages, and with the different type of tempo, and this particular OpenAI was able to convert this audio into text format. So for the next couple of slides, I will just try to talk about the important activities which is going on in our group. In the initial remark, our director, HOD, Dr. G.N. Sastry, he has mentioned that our group is actively involving in the ability to write the code and share them in the public. So one of the big massive movement in our group is we are very much interested to develop an open source computational drug discovery software, and we have name it as molecular property diagnostic suite. So this idea has been conceived and it has been started from our director, Dr. G.N. Sastry, when he worked in IICT. So the genesis, it has started in the different way. So for example, that if we have a molecule, so what molecule has to be synthesized? So if you know the properties of the molecule, then you can come up with some different type of molecule with the desired properties. So this, as mentioned earlier, that this idea was there with our directors in mind in long back since 2004, and the MPDS team has started working in the 2011. So this is not only that IICT. So he has collected various scientists and group of students from the various different type of various different CSIR and non-CSIR institutes, and he has done this activity when he was there in the IICT. And in the year of 2017, the first MPDS paper was published, and with the 54 authors. So now this particular MPDS, the first one, it was designed for tuberculosis. Why we are started with the tuberculosis means, for example, that if you are very naive to the computational drug discovery, so what are the things that you need? You have to get the information about the data. You have to understand what type of data is very much required for this particular computational drug discovery calculations. So you want to perform some different type of calculation. If you know the structural level calculation, or if you have only the ligand, you have to understand about the ligand-based drug discovery calculation. So his idea is mainly to collate all this information in a single platform. So after that, this TB, then later on in the year of 2019, we were started working on the diabetes mellitus. And after that, we have right now that we have started for COVID-19, and it has been almost in the final stage where people can access that one. And now we are trying to expand this series of portal to other diseases such as HIV, metabolic disorder, etc. So as I mentioned, that 2018 we have published the diabetes mellitus portal, and this in the year of 2020 we could able to finish this MPDS COVID portal, where it has the much more robust information when compared to our previous portal. So here we have the extensive information about the COVID-19, and also that whatever the calculation which we have done in our group based on the protein-protein interaction, and also from some of the drug repurposing or drug discovery calculation, all the results we have deposited in this particular portal. And apart from this, we have the various drug-like filters and toxicity filters and different type of machine learning models also, which Dr. Hriday has mentioned about the antiviral prediction. So these models has been integrated in this MPDS. So this is in the home page, if you go to that mpds.niche.rest.in, you will access the home page. and we have the different type of server for the different type of diseases. So basically that we have used this platform using the Galaxy architecture. Why we have used the Galaxy means, so this is an open source community where they have given their original source code, which can be easily customized to our own purposes. So we have considered that as a platform, and we have created our own Python code or Perl code, which we try to integrate different type of open source things inside that particular MPDS platform. So this is one example which I would like to show. For example, that if you have the particular algorithm or your tool as a PL file, so it can be easily integrated in the XML file. Then it will display in the Galaxy platform. So there is one of the important activity which is there in the group. So in India, that we are the first which we have able to collate all the open source small molecules. So right now we have the repository of small molecules around 147 million of compounds, which has been collected from 42 different databases. So apart from that, we have indigenously developed fingerprint-based classification program to categorize this molecule into different type of classes. Once we have formulate these particular classes, then we have designed to develop this MPDS Aadhaar card. So where, for example, that we all know that Aadhaar card, where we are getting the information about the each and every individual. Like the same way, so our as professor, his interest is to show how what are the different type of properties and information which is available for the particular molecule. So through different type of automated script and also manually collected and properties, everything we have tried to collate and we have deposited inside that particular our Galaxy servers, where when the user is giving the query, it automatically fetches that from that one. So these are the very important things that which we are trying to do, and even very recently we could able to get some of the bugging and also that debugging and also from able to write some of the codes through with the help of the ChatGPT, where it little bit is make easier our task. So apart from this, so our division in Northeast, so it is one of the important division for the bioinformatics, chemoinformatics, and AI/ML intervention in the different type of applications. So under this, we have conducted different type of workshops, and also that one of the important, some of you might have aware of the Drug Discovery Hackathon, which was the Prime Minister's program. So Dr. C.N. Sastry was given the responsibility to conduct the training program for all the students. So that is still available in the YouTube channel, where you can go and there you can try to understand what are the different type of CAD methods, I mean computational drug discovery methods, and the different type of algorithms behind that, and different type of softwares, and how you can easily use this AI and ML in computational drug discovery. And apart from that, so we also have conducted two different type of workshops under the advanced computation and data science, because our division has been recognized by the Department of Biotechnology as advanced computation for Center for Excellence for Advanced Computation and Data Sciences. So here we have conducted two different type of workshops and also that conferences with the basic theme how effectively use these computational methods, and also that how we can write our codes, algorithms, and developing the softwares in this particular area, in this part, and also that how we can develop the different type of open source platform. So such type of important activities has been taken initiative under the leadership of our director GSI. So we also have conducted the DST training program, where 39 students from the different part of Northeast has come over here and they have stayed for 2 to 3 months, and they have been given training with the different type of AI and ML programs. So with this, I would like to tell this particular section is majorly focused because
Look, it
the
is the
first
Google.
session that
My
asked
son.
most of the speakers, they were talked
Yeah, my
about
also got
how this
first
particular
certificate.
ChatGPT has been created and what are the different type of information. This particular session is majorly focused how we can effectively use this ChatGPT in different domains.
Yeah.
So with this small introduction, I would like to
Lamba chuli.
request Dr. Himakshi Sharma to talk about content creation in ChatGPT.
Good afternoon, everyone. So ChatGPT is very extensively used for content creation. So in my presentation here, I'll be covering this topic, like overview of how ChatGPT supports content creation, how to use ChatGPT for content creation by giving proper prompt or text, and content creation using ChatGPT in various fields. And what are the advantages of using ChatGPT in content creation? And I'll be also showing some example how to effectively use ChatGPT for content creation and how the quality of content creation when you provide a proper prompt. Okay, so content creation can take any form, whether it includes blog post, article writing, video, podcast, social media post, ebook, webinar, and many more. So the main purpose of content writing is to provide some valuable information to the audience and attract them, such as by increasing your brand awareness, maybe by advertising your business, or driving your sales by writing some very catchy content. Okay, so we know that ChatGPT has been trained on a massive amount of only text data, and it can only generate information based on the text, and it behaves like it gives a human response. Like you can continuously chat, you can continue the chat to get your desired content. So here, let's see a quick overview of how ChatGPT support content creation. Please go back to the previous slide. Yeah. So idea generations. ChatGPT can generate new ideas for content creation by offering some suggestions, providing different perspectives on a topic. For example, if you provide an input prompt like, give me some idea for a business, so it can literally provide you some good ideas of business, and also you can modify your prompt based on your specific field. Now, structuring, it gives a proper structure to generate content by providing suggestions for like outline, headings, and subheadings. It can also assist in the creation of written content by providing paragraphs or sentence drafts based on the prompt. Now, fact checking and research mean it can quickly search and retrieve information from its extensive database or provided content creations, and it can provide the content creation support. And it has the ability to make recommendations to improve the content style. It can correct the grammar, making the content readable and by increasing the quality. So you can, if you can paste a paragraph, you can ask ChatGPT to please replace the phrases of this paragraph, and you can get a uh, rephrased paragraph without changing the main content. And it can customize the written language, written content in any language. Next, please. Next slide, please. So let's see how to use ChatGPT for content creation. Please go back. So the most important thing is how to use ChatGPT effectively for good quality and attractive content. So first, you need to set up your account, and you can start. You can give your prompt as per your desired request, and you can provide prompt as per your requirement and try to make it very specific. So one can reach a quality content by continuously texting to get it deeper till you get your desired material in the context. So this example I'll be showing in my later slide. So I would say like you need to make a good connection through texting to get your desired content material. Number three, you can always translate your content in any language. And here I have shown some example of prompt, like you can create a privacy policy for an e-commerce website, or write a product description for clothing, or how to start food blogging, etc. Then yes, it is very obvious that you may not get exactly what is in your mind. However, you will get a very good draft to start with, and then you will always add your creativity and expertise to meet your standards. Next slide, please. So these are some common fields where ChatGPT is being extensively used to create content, whether it is a blog post, website post, script for video, manuscript writing, newsletter content, and for digital marketing. And there are n number of fields are there where you can use ChatGPT for content creation. So let's see an example to how to generate new ideas by ChatGPT. So for example, if I want to do something in YouTube channel and I am confused what to do, then I ask ChatGPT to give me some idea to start a YouTube channel. Then you see it has provided me a lot of ideas, and then I pick one idea. For example, next slide please. For example, among those topics which is provided in the previous slide, I picked this idea, that science experiment and how to start YouTube channel with science experiment. Then if you see, it gave me a very good guidance how to start the science experiment in the YouTube channel. And it is not necessarily that you will take all the ideas, but if you see, if you read, you can get at least 60% of those topics are very much beneficial to start a YouTube channel in scientific experiment. Next slide, please. Second is I want to write a review article, and I chose to write a review article on the application of artificial intelligence and machine learning in healthcare. So it has provided me some very proper format of a review article with some areas where AI and ML is helpful. For example, in medical image analysis, disease prognosis, personalized medicine, future prospect and impact, etc. Then I want to get some reference based on this topic. Then I ask, then I continue the text and I ask for reference for this review, and I got some good relevant research article on this area, like advancement of AI ML in healthcare. Next slide, please. Suppose if you're not happy with the content for each subheadings for the review, you can ask to elaborate. Okay, then what I did, I asked, like, please elaborate on each topic mentioned above. Then I got some elaboration on each topic. Next slide, please. And then I want the whole review article to be written. Then I ask ChatGPT to please write a review article on the topic mentioned above with references. But here we see the limitation of ChatGPT, and it can guide us in a very nice way, but sometimes it cannot go much deeper in the provided topic. Now let's see how we can improve our contents by providing a proper prompt. Next slide, please. So here I provide a prompt like how to write a scientific project, and I got some response, and here I can see the title, abstract, introduction, results, discussion, and I don't think that these subtopics are okay for a project proposal. So it looks more like a scientific manuscript or a research article format. Then I modified my prompt and I provided the input as, next slide please. I provided the input as what are the steps involved in writing the project grant. And this time the response is much better than the previous one. So you can see I'm displaying here with the tick mark the topics which is essential to write a project proposal. For example, we need to define the research objectives, literature, okay, expected results and outcomes, budget. So these subtopics are actually important for writer project grant. Next slide, please. So these are some of the advantages of using ChatGPT for content creations. Like obviously, it is very efficient and it can quickly generate the content and it can save a lot of time and resources. And the quality it can generate also a very good quality of the content, which can also improve your quality of writing. And it is also very cost effective, like it can reduce the need for human content creator and editors. Obviously it is very automatic and it can create your content within a very short period of time. It has the consistency. Also it is very versatile and it can fine tune for various tasks such as text generation, language translation, question answering, and text summarization. And then personalization. ChatGPT can be fine-tuned to specific industries or audience, and then it can make it a valuable tool for creating personalized treatment. It is also very much scalable, and it can easily scale up to handle a large amount of text data, which can make it valuable tools for business and need to create large volume of content. Thank you.
Thank you, Himakshi Sharma. So this particular topic is majorly about the content creation. Though that we can get the quite a lot of help from the ChatGPT for the content creation, it is always advisable to you have to go through rigorously what are the information we are getting, and also that even some of the journals they have clearly mentioned in their disclaimer that should not use the ChatGPT for writing purpose. So though we can, if for example, instead of asking Google, if we ask the ChatGPT, we can get more relevant information, and also that this will be the very nice platform for doing the review of literature. So with this, we'll move on to the next speaker. So next talk will be delivered by Dr. Ashish Kumar. So he will mainly focus on how this particular ChatGPT will be helpful for the translation. Yeah, Ashish, go.
Thank you, Dr. Nagmi. ChatGPT is a large language model chatbot developed by OpenAI. It is trained on a massive data set of text and code and can generate text, translate languages, write different kinds of creative content, and answer your questions in an informative way. Talking about the topic precisely, as we have discussed in our previous session, that we are working on ChatGPT 3.5 version, so which is freely available for the public domain and is capable of translating a total of 62 languages with some best performing translation language pairs that are English to Spanish, English to French, English to Chinese, and English to Japanese. When it comes to juxtapose the translation of our Indian languages, the ChatGPT is good in translating 10 Indian languages that are Hindi, Bengali, Tamil, Telugu, Urdu, Punjabi, Gujarati, Marathi, Kannada, and Malayalam. But still, it needs an improvement. So, as an experiment, so kindly go to the previous slide. So as an experiment, what I did is that I gave a prompt. ChatGPT is one thing I should make it very clear that while using the ChatGPT for translation purpose, the prompt should be very appropriate and we should know what is the right question we are asking the ChatGPT because it gives the answer in text. So when I gave the ChatGPT a prompt to translate the definition of catalyst, it translated the definition of catalyst in German. That was pretty good. In French, it also gave a good translation. But when I use the same ChatGPT to translate the language in Assamese, it did not work. And how did I confirm it? That we all know that we have been using the Google Translate to translate, to get the translation of a particular text or a statement or a piece of information to update ourselves. So from there, from as you can see from on the screen, that I have used the Google Translate that translates the Tamil version of the definition of catalyst that was provided by the ChatGPT, and as you can see in English, that it gives something irrelevant that is has nothing to do with the definition of catalyst. So there needs to be improvement. There has to be an improvement in the ChatGPT for certain languages. So, and also when we see the when we further go deep into that, and we further try to do the translation for the Assamese language, it did not work. It translated some of the words into other language. Some of the words were similar to some Bengali. Kindly go to the next slide. So here, so when I prompted to list the language pairs that ChatGPT is best in translation, us it gave the 20 results. That is from English to French, Spanish, English to German, and so on and so forth. So likewise, when I gave the prompt to that, how from where the sources, suppose we as a user, I'm also interested in to know what from what sources it has accumulated or assimilated all the textual data. So it has various sources of translation that include public available data sets, commercial data sets, and human feedback, as mentioned by Dr. Hriday in the previous uh, session, that it learns by itself. Self-attention mechanism works in this chat GPT. That architecture has been well explained. So please, next slide. So talking about the accuracy and the reliability. As we know that accuracy and reliability are the two important parameters when we are dealing with translation, because we need to know whether it is correct, accurate, or the context is not changed. Because in English, we know that there are homophones. There are some words that sounds similar, but the meaning is entirely different, and the context has to be taken care of. So the accuracy of the chat GPT for translation can vary depending on several factors, including the language pairs, the complexity of the text, and the available training data. Likewise, the reliability also varies depending on the specific translation task, language pair involved, and while the chat GPT can provide reasonable translations in some cases, it is important to note that it is in general it is a general purpose language model and not specifically designed or fine tuned for translation tasks. Next slide. So as a matter of interest, when I gave a prompt to translate the line that I enjoy my work in 50 different languages in a tabular form with serial number, it tried to work quite a bit well. As you can see on your screen, that when the chat GPT was given the mentioned prompt, it halted twice that I observed, and one of the halt I took a screenshot, and it is before you all, that it is at serial number 38. You can see that it has stopped. However, it claims that certainly here are the translation of the base of the phrases in 50 different languages. It is saying that here are the following 50 different languages, but it is generating only 38. So this is one of the limitation, that every time we need to check whether we are getting the desired result or not. Next slide. So these are the advantages. We are working on ChatGPT 3.5 version, as we have discussed in our previous session, that ChatGPT is going to evolve with the pace of time. So presently we are working on the ChatGPT 3.5 version, and following are the advantages of ChatGPT, that is vocabulary and language coverage. It has good vocabulary and language coverage, constant learning and improvement, that is self-attention, that was discussed by Dr. Hriday in the first session. Ease of integration, that is it can be easily integrated into various platforms or web applications, as discussed by Dr. Hriday, that we can use the APIs and all that. Efficiency and scalability, it has good efficiency and scalability to certain set of language pairs. Adaptability and flexibility, that it is easily adaptable and flexible. And context awareness, it is very much aware of the fact that what context we are talking about. As we have seen in the previous session, that Vitupanji gave the prompt, who is the Prime Minister of India? So the ChatGPT replied the name. And in the very next question, he asked what is the age. So the ChatGPT replied that his age is 72. So context awareness, the ChatGPT is well aware of the context in which the person or the human as a user is using. So these are the advantages of ChatGPT. Also, we need to know the limitations of ChatGPT for translation. So here are the following limitations of ChatGPT 3.5. That is, there is a lack of training on dedicated translation data sets, limited knowledge of idiomatic expressions, difficulty with rare or low resources languages, contextual understanding, vocabulary and terminology limitations, ethical considerations, lack of post-editing capabilities. However, whenever you try to ask a question that is irrelevant or not ethical, it prompts itself that it is not ethical. You need to go through a proper channel. Suppose if you prompt to ChatGPT to download the so and so song in MP3 format, it will prompt that need to go through the proper channel. You can't go do the unethical things. So this is a good aspect of ChatGPT. Please press the enter button. So here are the other AI powered tools for translation. Google Translate, as we all know, and as it has been said that there are several tech giant companies that are blazing the trail in the AI development. So as we all know that Google is a major game player in the development of AI. It has invested a lot of money in billions to take a lead. So there we have different kinds of AI powered tools, that is Google Translate, DeepL Translator, Lilt, PNMT, ContentMT, and so on and so forth. Their list is quite big. Here I have listed only a few. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Ashish. So, as he mentioned, all of these things has been used in the ChatGPT 3.5. So right now there are advanced version is ChatGPT 4, but right now it is a commercial version. So as he mentioned, most of the things which is problematic due to the translation, all these things may be addressed in the ChatGPT 4, or it will improve in the subsequent versions. So next is one of the interesting topic. So how we will use the how we can use the ChatGPT for writing the code. So I request Dr. Nandan Kumar to explain about how we can do the coding in the ChatGPT.
Thank you, Dr. Nagini. So here I will be talking about how we can use ChatGPT for the code. So whether we want to write the code from scratch, or if we have some set of line, if we want to make any kind of improvement in that code, so all these works can be done easily with the help of ChatGPT. So first, as here it is mentioned, like ChatGPT can help with coding by providing suggestions, explanations, and examples based on given prompt or a particular code. So if we have some kind of if you want to count the basic content in the nucleotide sequences, and if you are not from the computational background, still you want to write a code for some kind of analysis. So just you have to instruct this ChatGPT, okay, you have some nucleotide code in so and so directory. So you want to first read that particular sequences, and then you want to count that GC, how many GC pair is there, as well as you can also ask to count the what are those different nucleotides are there and what is their occurrence. So just you have to write these instructions in the chat box, and accordingly that ChatGPT will give you a code. So that code you can use for your work. In addition, this ChatGPT can help you to make a documentation and the references of this ChatGPT, as well as if you have some set of codes, and if you want to review those codes, see exactly what are the problem in that code, or exactly what type of improvements required in that particular set of lines of the code. So all those work also can be done
I don't know.
using the like ChatGPT.
Someone is
Next
telling
slide.
from the user, I think. Interrupt thing.
Yeah, so here like I'm highlighting
It's not
exactly
some
why
unknown
people
voice, I think.
can do can use ChatGPT for their coding.
Someone from the user.
So if we compare between the ChatGPT and the traditional coder, so like ChatGPT can like traditional coder can make lots of mistakes while writing the long codes there. Whereas the ChatGPT can take us some kind of very less time, and the chances for the making mistakes will be the very less. So here ChatGPT will be highly consistent, as well as the speed of ChatGPT will be far better than the any traditional coder. And then in terms of multitasking, so if you are going some very big code or some set of very big programs, so traditional coder will take lots of time and they have to give their full attention. However, with using the chat GPT, just we have to give the instruction, as well as you have to keep reviewing that code, and meanwhile you can do your other works also. And in the term of availability, like that chat GPT can be used from anywhere, and that you can using the like chat GPT, you can write your code. Whereas there is a traditional coder, not a all individual will be very expertise to writing this code. So there will be just set of people, they will be doing the coding. So whether those people are there in your uh, in your working place or not, or whether in your industry or in your institute. So like with respect to the location and exactly where you are working, it is mainly it will be depending on the availability of that coder. Then only like in the next slide, then only one can take the advantage of that coder to write their code. So here I am giving the kind of example how one can use ChatGPT to do the coding. So here, like if you have some kind of question I want to calculate some average of the given number. So exactly how one can write the code. So just we have to instruct the ChatGPT. ChatGPT will write that code. Or the here here is the example here I have shown. ChatGPT has written one Python function. This function can be called, and based on your that given number, this particular function will give you that that average number of the given number. Then next. Then next is code comparison. So like it is like if you have some set of code and you don't know exactly where is the problem and what are the set of line that needs improvement. So using this chat GPT, like that particular set of code, you can give to the chat GPT, and then chat GPT will come up with the solution, as well as they will give you a proper code of the given set of set of the code. So such type of improvement can be do using the chat GPT. Then the next is code refactoring. It is nothing but a kind of process of restructuring your code. So like if you have some set of a program, and if you want to make it complex. So as earlier I gave the example of the GC content. So if you have some program that is able to do the GC content count, as well as if you want to also count the number of other nucleotides as well as the their occurrence. So you can ask ChatGPT in addition to the counting the GC, you also write the codes for getting those details. So in your given code, ChatGPT will also provide this additional set of lines that will be doing your instructed work. Yeah, next. Yeah, so thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Nandan. So this particular chat GPT is not only limited to Python or a very limited program. Even it is we are vastly explored. We can explore in the different type of languages, programming languages. So in continuation of this particular talk, next I request Dr. Lijo John, for example, that if we have some of the code you already have written, and the Python or some R, it's throwing some error. So how we can effectively debug the error which is available. So this also can be possible through ChatGPT. So I request Dr. Lijoza to throw some light on that.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Nagmani. As we have seen that we are able to create the code using ChatGPT, but sometimes debugging it is very much important to fix the specific errors. That errors can happen due to a logical error in the program, or a syntax error, or a simple indentation error. And ChatGPT can assist us in debugging the code by providing guidance or suggestions in helping us to identify the potential issues. Now, as we have seen in the first session, we talked about the auto encoding and auto regressive models. These are the two main models which are helpful in creating various generative text or generative suggestions through ChatGPT. And I would like to state one fact: while doing the debugging with ChatGPT, it is the auto regressive models that will be helpful to create or generate the next tokens based on the previous context. And in this lines, so I would like to say 5 important help points which will be useful in debugging the program. The first is to simplify the problem. So when we know what is the problem we are trying to solve, and when we are not able to understand it, we can simplify it. We can divide the problem into small components and tell the ChatGPT that this is what I need. And that's how we got able to provide a very clear context of what is the input that we have to give and what exactly the code has to do in order to get a desired output. And the another one is to utilize the pseudo code. So for example, when the program is very big program, you can just give a very small pseudo code there, which will be helpful to understand what is the main logic behind the program. So here I have, can you go back to the example one? Yeah, here I have given 2 programs for you to identify how the debugging can be helpful. So here you can see, just one more slide behind. Yeah. So this is a program where we are trying to identify whether a given number is a prime number or not. So we all know that prime numbers and how the prime numbers can be obtained. So the program is written by some programmer, and due to some problem, there is a logical error. That is, instead of putting the modulus sign here, the person or the coder has put a division sign here. And due to that, what happens is, next slide. What happens is, when the person will try to run the program, it will say that the given number, for example, when the number is 4, when you enter the number 4, it will tell that it is not a prime number, and that's actually a wrong answer. So when we will try to ask the ChatGPT to resolve the error, and then the ChatGPT will tell us, oh, so there is a logical error. Instead of division sign, you can put the modulus sign here, and that's how when we again run the program, it will be helpful. It will give us the correct result. The next slide. There is another program. It is written by some programmer where the program will ask us to enter some of the PDB IDs. So for bioinformatics people, they know what is a PDB ID. It's an accession number given to a specific protein deposited at the PDB database. So somebody will enter a PDB code like 1ZAK, and the program will essentially write the PDB code that you have requested is 1ZAK, but somebody will write a PDB code like 2ZZ1. It will tell it is an invalid PDB ID. Now, why this problem has happened is because generally most of the PDB IDs, like people when they have seen, it contains only one digit as the there's only one digit and remaining all the four characters are the alphabets. Though it is a alphanumeric string, people will make this mistake, and then we can help the chat GPT. We can ask the chat GPT what is the error. So next slide. And we can tell that this is the problem, that when I'm trying to enter a code where there are two digits, it is telling invalid ID, and we will and the chat GPT will tell that it is not only the one digit that is there in the PDB ID, but there can be two digits, and there can be two alphabets, or that's how PDB ID is designed. And when this code is fixed, when that code is fixed in a program, it will be helpful to rectify that error. And then when you try to run the program, it will tell that 2ZZ1 is also considered as a valid PDB ID. So that's how, that's two examples what I gave. That's how you can ask the correct question. You can present the correct problem to chat GPT, and it will be helpful to debug the entire program. That's all from my side. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Lijo. So this coding and debugging is one of the major challenging problem, especially for the learners, which most of us are there on the academic side. So this ChatGPT can help extensively, but the problem is only one thing, that what question that we have to ask. So that is the only, which is the main important thing which we have to keep in mind. So with this, next I would like to call Dr. Kikru Senyu Kyawa, and she will be talking about how this ChatGPT will be useful for data mining and text mining. Kikru, please.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Nagamani. Good afternoon, everyone. Now that we learned about coding and debugging with ChatGPT, let us now have a quick look about how we can do text mining with ChatGPT. Text mining is a technique of extracting valuable insights from unstructured textual data, and so ChatGPT can be used in multiple ways for text mining. It can very descriptively or briefly explain what it is based on your query and provide a step-to-step process of extracting information. It can also provide the codes for both Python and R, which can be used to extract information. Most importantly, it is a useful tool for debugging, like my previous two speakers have stated. So it saves you the trouble of going through several sites to understand the process, but if required by the user, it can also assist you by providing the links where you can learn and debug the process. So ChatGPT can be used for data extraction, and so the enormous amount of data can be explored through web scraping or accessing structured databases, and we gather this textual data and prepare it for analysis. For example, I've provided a prompt here and asked ChatGPT to extract the strips of signs listed in the text provided, and so you can specify your query based on your requirement, like I have done here, where I've asked ChatGPT to specifically provide the names without any description. Once we have the data, we can perform text pre-processing. And this crucial step, it involves the transforming the unstructured text into structured format, which can be easily analyzed. And in this step, we remove unnecessary elements, like it can be the headers, footers, or it can be the non-textual content, and we can tokenize the text or break it down into individual words or phrases, and also remove the common words or the stop words. So here I have provided a prompt with unclean sentence, and I've asked ChatGPT to clean or process the sentence, and as you can see here, ChatGPT will provide the clean data immediately. Next slide, please. Now, next slide, please. Okay, so ChatGPT can also be used for data filtering and classification, and filtering helps us to focus on relevant information and discard the noise or irrelevant text. We can apply techniques like keyword filtering, where we only retain text containing specific keywords related to our area of interest, and classification enables us to categorize text into predefined classes or labels. For example, using the previous text, Using the previous text, prompt was provided to ChatGPT to classify the list of streams into the different streams of science. And as you can see here, it automatically provided the branches of science for the text that I've provided with the streams of science. Next slide, please. Now, text summarization is another powerful application of text mining, and it allows us to condense large amounts of text into concise summaries while retaining the essential information. So, ChatGPT can be used to summarize a text where only the important sentences or phrases are selected and combined, and summarization can be immensely valuable in domains like news or research papers or even documents for summarization. So here I've provided a text on CSIR news, and I have asked ChatGPT to summarize the text in just 10 words. And as you can see here, it has provided the provided the summary in 10 words as prompted. Sentiment. Previous slide, please. Previous slide, please. So, sentiment analysis is a prominent text mining technique that helps us to understand the sentiment or opinion expressed in a piece of text. And by next slide, sentiment analysis. Yeah, and by analyzing the sentiment, whether it is positive, negative, or neutral, we can gain valuable insights into customer feedback. This is very especially powerful for getting the customer feedback or perception or market trends. So sentiment analysis finds applications in social media monitoring, customer review analysis, or reputation management, where understanding public sentiment is essential. So here is a scenario for a developer in building. I've provided the prompt and then asked ChatGPT to review the whether that review is positive or negative, or to review the sentiment of the reviewers provided by the customers. Okay, next slide, please. Next slide, please. Okay, so ChatGPT also enables a trend analysis, which involves uncovering patterns, themes, or topics prevalent in a collection of text documents. And by applying techniques like topic modeling, we can automatically discover hidden topics and understand their distribution across documents. And this information helps us to identify emerging trends, take track shifts in public opinion, or identify hot topics in a particular domain. So in conclusion, text mining empowers us to extract valuable insights from textual data, and text mining provides a toolkit for techniques to unlock the hidden knowledge into a vast sea of text, and ChatGPT can be a useful tool to help or assist users to do this text mining. Thank you for your attention.
Yeah, thank you, Kiku. So next topic, I mean, after this, all the talks will be with the different branches of life sciences and also chemistry and petroleum research, which our CSIR NIST are extensively working on these different branches. And we would like to enlighten that how this ChatGPT will helpful for these different type of branches. So in continuation that, I would like to call Ms. Kripa to explain about ChatGPT for chemistry.
Good evening, everyone. Now we are going to talk about how ChatGPT is useful for chemistry. ChatGPT can assist a chemist in different ways, like predicting reaction mechanisms, structures of involved reactants, products, or intermediate states, and the probable methods for calculations, and also formats of inputs and outputs. Using ChatGPT, it is also possible to convert compound names into Smiles notation or Smiles notation into compound name or formula by giving some direct response or by providing some codes. This can run in different Linux distribution. From ChatGPT, it is also possible to get structural information like geometry, number and type of atoms present in the compound, and the compound is cyclic or not, aromatic or not. This model can also predict point groups. It is also good. It can predict, but we can't completely rely on it. We need to train it. Using ChatGPT, we can also get summary of any research paper related to our research problem. Without reviewing the whole paper, we can confirm that this paper is useful to our work or not. So next slide, please. So these are some of the demos of using ChatGPT for chemistry. First, I asked to ChatGPT, show me the model, a 3D model of aniline, but it responded me that it can't show me a 3D model as it is only a text-based AI, but it can describe me the model. So again, I asked it to generate XYZ format, and ChatGPT able to give me a XYZ representation. My next task is developing code to generate smiles notation from chemical formula. After solving a lot of errors, finally ChatGPT able to understand my question. I repeatedly asked the same question in different ways so that I can get what I want, and finally it able to give me a script. By running this script, I get this smile notation of carbon dioxide as output. So next slide. Now we will discuss about conversion of name into smiles and smiles into compound name. First, I asked smile notation of butane. Asked to ChatGPT, write the smiles notation of butane, and this model responded me with C four times is the smile notation for butane, which is correct only. But when I asked about a smile notation of butene, it gave me smile notation of but1ene instead of but2ene, which is not correct. So I tried to train this model, ChatGPT AI model, by saying that it's the smile notation of but1ene, not of but2ene. And finally, it responded me the correct smile notation of but2ene, which is for trans but2ene. So in this way, we can make a conversation with this model. Now, I am asking in a reverse way by providing the smile notation of pentane, and this model is giving the correct response by saying this notation is for pentane only. Here I am trying to ask about the point group of linear and symmetric molecules such as oxygen. ChatGPT responded me that for a linear symmetric molecule it is C infinity V, which is not correct. So I tried to train it by saying that it is D infinity H, and this model is giving the correct response as we can see here. To retest it, I asked about the linear and asymmetric molecules, and here it is giving the correct response, which is C infinity V. So in this way, we can deal with many research problems or basic chemistry problems related to chemistry. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Kulpa. So these are the examples which has been shown. Is not limited to these available questions which is there, which she has shown. It is it has been shown that very briefly what type of things which ChatGPT can easily frame the answer for the question, and it can do quite a lot apart from these examples which has been shown. So in continuation to this, I would like to call Ms. Dipsika Gogoi, and she will be talking about conversational artificial intelligence cobots.
Okay, thank you, sir. Conversational AI is the task of building machines that can verbally interact with humans. So I will go with an example where the statement will be more easier to understand. That how a simple machine can be turned into a robot. Simple machine like a vacuum cleaner which has one function and one button to control it can be turned into a robot by adding some motors so that it could drive itself around and build in sensors running the program.
So in this video, mm, we can we can see that the robot is responding to the music and it's moving according to the beats, which is another example. Moving to the next slide, basically conversational AI has two components. First is NLU, which is natural language understanding, is an AI-driven capability that can extract meaning from written or spoken text. NLU can process in real time and recognize the underlying intent, is what makes the conversational AI smart. Second component is about ability to deploy NLU to action. It is the toolbox that brings AI-powered conversion to life on the end user screens, device, and so on, and it connects them with whatever is needed to reach their goals. This enables them to not only chat but to get the things done. Now, what can conversational AI do? Conversational, the previous slide. Okay, thank you. Conversational AI can be used to build really powerful chatbots, but the chatbot is just one channel, and conversational AI is designed to assist users on any channel in spoken or written language whenever they need it. Like, here is an example of Google Assistant in the smartphones. When I tell it that when I tell it to make a call, it will ask you back the confirmation, and after you confirm it, it will make the call. So moving to the next slide, working principle of conversational AI. So technically, conversational AI involves live data that refers to real-time or dynamic information. Next is natural language understanding, which convert the user input into structured format that can be processed and acted upon. Then the machine learning. Machine learning enables AI system to learn from data and improve their performance over time. And then another one is rote management. Rote management is conversational. In conversational AI refers to the process of determining the most appropriate and efficient path for handling user requests and conversions. When it comes to effective entity recognition and storage mechanisms are crucial for accurately understanding and processing user inputs in conversational AI systems. And then the last one is continually trained depth focused algorithm in conversational AI can be used to provide personalized and relevant depth related assistance to users. So here are some examples. Here are some algorithms that is used in conversational AI. The first one is natural language processing. Language algorithms are used to process and understand human language. Then the second is intent recognition algorithm, which determines the uh, intention or purpose behind user queries or statements. The next is dialogue management. Algorithms handle the flow of conversion and maintain context. And then the next is sentimental analysis. Algorithm in conversational AI is used to determine the sentiment or emotion expressed in user inputs such as text or speech. The natural language generation algorithm transforms structured data or system output into natural language text, allowing conversion agents to provide meaningful and contextual appropriate response to users. Then the machine learning algorithm is used for various tasks such as intent classification, namely name, entity recognition, response generation, and user profiling. And then the reinforced learning algorithm enable uh, conversational AI system to learn through interaction and feedback. And the last one is representation and retrieval plays a crucial role in conversational AI. They enable the system to store and retrieve information to provide accurate and relevant response to the user queries.
These are the few algorithms that is used in conversational AI, which mainly deals with process and understanding of human language, determines sentiments, transform data, structured data into natural text, and so on. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Deepsika. So this conversational AI and generative AI, these two are recent advancement, and the application of these two algorithms are enormous. And most of the things in the real life, like a text, image, video, audio, and other NLP tasks are majorly dominated, and this particular two algorithms are majorly working behind this. So with this, next, I would like to call Pranjisa, and she will be talking about how we can use the ChatGPT for life sciences.
Very good afternoon. Today I'm going to give an intro section on how ChatGPT can be helpful in the life science area. So, revolutionizing life sciences, unleashing the potential of ChatGPT. So, I am delighted to share the incredible potential of ChatGPT in life sciences. So, ChatGPT can be applied in life sciences using several ways, such as data analysis and interpretation. So, data analysis and interpretation includes we can analyze a large data sets and we can process the data. And using ChatGPT, we can ask statistical method or any machine learning algorithm for our research problem. And coming to clinical decision support, it can collect the patient informations like symptoms, medical history. So based on these symptoms and information, ChatGPT will provide us accurate treatment recommendation. And drug discovery and development process, ChatGPT can aid the drug discovery by analyzing the molecular structure, predicting the drug target interactions, identifying the potential lead molecules, and it also helps in toxicity prediction and optimizing the drug candidates. And in genomics and personalized medicine, it helps in analyzing the large genomic data by identifying the genetic variants and predicting the genetic risk and identifying the genetic variants. And based on this genetic variant, ChatGPT can recommend a personalized treatment. So it is also contributing in genomics medicine. And in bioinformatics, it assists biologists and bioinformaticians by analyzing the large omics data, so such as genomics, proteomics, and transcriptomics. It can also help in data interpretation by pathway analysis and identifying the patterns, and also helps in interpretation of complex biological data sets. And in image identification, it plays a major role. So ChatGPT will help by putting a keyword in the chat box. It can generate a image, and we can also upload an image, and it can identify the image, and it will tell you. So in this way, ChatGPT is helping for image identification and literature review and information retrieval. So literature review with ChatGPT can helps to collect the literature relevant to our research, and it can highlight the key points, and it can compare with the 2-3 papers, and it will give the highlights of all the papers. So from all these we can get all the information for our research. Then natural language interfaces, it like program based interfaces, it aims like human computer interaction. So more we can collect programs, those who don't know any programming language, so it is very useful for them. Then medicinal plants, like those who are doing in medicinal researches, so they can get all type of medicinal plants information like botanical name, traditional uses, and active data sets of compound databases. Then research paper related to the medicinal plants, formulation, dosage information, and what are the recent techniques for cultivation and maintaining the plants. So these things we can come to know using ChatGPT. So these are some of the examples of ChatGPT I have tried using life sciences based questions. So first I have asked like, can you give the PDB format of APK protein, AMPK protein? So ChatGPT is a AI-based text, so it cannot give the PDB format. Instead, it has given the sequence of the particular protein. So this can be used by the PDB online tool, so we can download the PDB from the PDB databases. And another example I have used here, I want to know the chemical compounds of the agarwood plant. So I have asked the question. So it has listed out like what are the compounds generally it has listed. So I want to know the specific compound from the agarwood. So again I have asked the ChatGPT, I want the compound name. So it has listed out the particular compound from the agarwood. So in this way we can ask particular and right questions so that it can be useful for our research. And like in medical cases also, like some of the symptoms we need to know. So I have asked for the symptoms of some specific medicine condition. So for this question, it cannot predict correct answer. So I have asked like, what are the symptoms I'm facing? So based on the symptoms it has given. So these may be the reasons for our medical condition. So next slide. Then another research problem I have taken using GPT is learning to smell to predict the olfactory properties of the molecules using ChatGPT. So predicting the relationship between the molecular structure and its order remains a difficult problem. So this problem is termed as the quantitative structure order relationship modeling in the life sciences. So for this, machine learning has already had a large impact on the senses of sight and sound. So based on this early result in the graph neural network for the molecular properties and machine learning, these studies has been designed. So let's give it a try how I can make this research more easier. So I have used ChatGPT and I have asked the question. I have a data set of a compound with olfactory descriptors with a multi-label classification. Then I want to perform a machine learning model. So how I can perform? So ChatGPT has given different ways. So with this I can't perform further research. So I need to go in depth more. So then I have asked write a Python code for the above problem using the graph neural network. So it has displayed the example code. So this is not final. So based on this code, we can further personalize and we can use for our research purpose. And for plant classification also, I have used one. Can you go for before slide? For plant classification also, I have asked machine learning code using ChatGPT. So it has displayed the basic example. So using this, we can modify it and we can use for our research. So I have shown some of the examples using ChatGPT how we can use in life sciences. So these examples have demonstrated that using this we can enhance our research, analysis, decision making, and educational process in life sciences, and also it has potential to streamline workflows and provide a valuable insights. And we can access information's particular domain. And the potential of ChatGPT to revolutionize the life sciences is limitless. It empowers the researchers and healthcare professionals to harness the power of artificial intelligence in unprecedented way. So using ChatGPT, it will be faster discoveries and we can brighten our future and it will be very helpful for the upcoming researchers. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Professor. So next, I would like to invite Dr. Anvesh Pandey, and he will be talking about how the ChatGPT will be helpful in petroleum research. So Anvesh, and I request you to stick to the timing.
Okay, sir.
So we have already seen chat uses of ChatGPT in lots of branches of science. So today we have ChatGPT for petroleum research. So there are a lot of so next slide, please. So there is a lot of scope in addressing problems related to oil, gas, and petroleum industries that can be done using ChatGPT in upstream as well as downstream, be it exploration, be it reservoirs characterization, drilling, or production, or related to enhanced oil recovery. Or there are a lot of fields. There are a lot of scopes. And corresponding to each and every scope, there are a lot of programming languages which is already discussed, be it Python, R, or MATLAB, or Julia, or Fortran. Depending upon the problem statement that we are trying to deal, we will choose the language that we'll try to access the ChatGPT in. So for the for the today's talk, I have tried to focus on health and safety environment thing with try to code this thing with Python. Sir, next slide, please. So here I have tried to ask ChatGPT to provide me a Python code for the statistical report on the risk factor analysis on the petroleum waste. So it gave me a code. In this code has been divided into several segments. First of all, it has imported all the libraries, the pandas, the numpy, the matplotlib, and the seaborn libraries. And then it has provided a section in order where we can load the data set as an input. Then all the summaries and correlation analysis it will be giving as an output. Then output will be generated using a correlation matrix, and the risk factor assessment will be made. Sir, next slide, please. So next, I asked ChatGPT in order to explain me the code, the whatever code that it has written, and it gave me a very brief explanation of the entire code. Sir, next slide. Now, when I was satisfied with the code that was provided by me, I asked ChatGPT whether it can provide me a demonstration as to how I can run the code if I don't have any data set readily available as of now with me. So what it gave me, it gave me another code with some sample examples. It has supposed that there are 5 samples into it with different toxicity, flammability, and environmental impacts into it. And then the previous code was modified according to the current data set, and a new code was generated. Sir, next slide, please. I asked then ChatGPT to explain me the demonstration regarding the code. It gave me a proper explanation, a step-by-step explanation of the entire code, in which it has imported the data, all the data set, the descriptions, the summary, and all the correlation matrices to be plotted, and the heat map which was to be generated as the final output. Sir, next slide, please. Once I had obtained the demonstration of the code as an example, I used that example of the code into Google Colab, and I found the following as an output, in which we can see that the correlation matrix is obtained as an output, along with a distribution of as a histogram of the risk factor scores. So in this way, we can not only formulate problems related to the unconventional areas like petroleum and different sub areas into it, but we can also generate a code, and we can generate we can also generate example based on such codes if we don't have a readily available data set, and then we can use those codes on Google Colab or any other Python based platform, and we can generate outputs like this. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Arpis, for your brief presentation. So next I request Dr. Jyotirmay, and he will be talking about how the ChatGPT can be useful in the material science.
Good evening, everyone. I am going to present on the topic ChatGPT, revolutionizing material science with innovative applications. So here I will try to give you a basic idea how ChatGPT can be useful in the field of material science, specifically in the computational material science. So some of the major areas where ChatGPT finds immense application in material science are material discovery. So ChatGPT can accelerate the discovery of new materials and optimize their properties for specific applications. Next, property-structure relationship. ChatGPT can help establish correlation between material properties and their underlying structures. So by analyzing large data sets and considering various structural parameters, it can offer insights into the relationship that drive specific material behaviors. Then material design and optimization. ChatGPT can aid in the design and optimization of material by suggesting its composition, structure, or processing condition that can achieve desired properties. Similarly, predictive modeling. ChatGPT can be utilized to develop predictive models for material properties. Then material characterization techniques. ChatGPT can assist in the interpretation of experimental data obtained through various characterization techniques such as XRD, SEM, or other spectroscopic techniques. ChatGPT can act as a valuable tool for knowledge discovery and literature review materials. Next slide, please. So, as a computational material scientist, we are always eager to embrace new tools. Nowadays, AI/ML-based techniques have been widely used in various fields of computational material science for predicting various material properties, designing novel materials for specific applications such as anode material, carbon dioxide reduction, image processing, etc. So let us try to find answers of some fundamental questions that what can ChatGPT do for computational material science? How can we utilize such a tool to assist us in scientific computing? Or will ChatGPT replace computational material scientists in the future? So in computational material science, most of the time building a model or a structure is the first step and is the most crucial step. So for that, I try to ask ChatGPT, can you generate a CIF file for graphene sheet? So it helps me to generate a CIF file with the space group symmetry and other information. So it is a very common example for graphene. However, you can generate also. I have also tried with the complex system, and it is successfully able to give me the complex systems CIF file as well. For complex system, initially it may give you wrong output, but it has the ability to evolve and learn from communication, providing more specific information such as crystal symmetry, lattice parameters such as lattice constant and lattice constant and angles. It helps us to generate a more robust inputs, as well as sometimes even if sometimes you are not able to get an exact structure, however, it can provide us a structure which can serve as a good starting point for your further calculation. Next slide, please. So another example where we can use in computational materials and ChatGPT is writing script. So input generation or post-processing script for simulation. So actually what happens when we are using this most of the open source computational packages like Siesta, Quantum Espresso, etc., it is not so easy to generate the correct inputs. Either you have to be an expert in programming language or you have to go through manual again and again to make a correct input, and this process requires huge time. But with the help of ChatGPT, we can easily generate inputs. So one may ask that it can easily generate input, but how we can understand? So ChatGPT also helps you understand the inputs line by line, and through conversation with ChatGPT, each level, whatever the entry you have given in the inputs, you can understand easily. Finally, as per your requirement, you change the computational parameters, and finally you run the calculation, you will get the desired output. So here I have given an example that it can use for band structure or Fidos calculation. I have tried with this example as well, but here I have reporting one code I asked ChatGPT to generate a narrative from its 2D counterpart. So initially import all the modules and classes for PyMergen, then you can load the 2D structure file. So whatever the 2D structure file you have, you load the structure, then you mention what are the specified the desired chiral vectors for the nanotube, then create a lattice from the 2D structure lattice parameters. Next slide, please. And then create a slab generator, and finally in this way, if you follow the each steps, you can get a CIF file for nanotube. So you can so in this way we can generate some 1D structure from a promised 2D counterpart. Next one. So another example where ChatGPT is useful in computational material science is data analyzing and visualization. So if you have some scientific data, you are not able to interpret data, ChatGPT will help you in giving proper interpretation and scientific and physical insight regarding the data. It also helps us to analyze the data and generate plots obtained during the calculation. So I asked ChatGPT, can you write a script for three-dimensional band structure plots? So I have then it given me a code. I have run this code. Finally, I have obtained using Matplotlib a three-dimensional band structure. So these are the some of the examples where I can use ChatGPT. Apart from that, there are many other examples, but due to time constraint, I have restricted to 3 examples only. Next slide, please. So the advantage of using such a tool can be summarized. It is very easy and convenient to use since you only need to type a few words instead of reading through the manuals, which is especially friendly for beginners. The ability for it to learn from interaction and correct error by itself with the guidance of experts, and it can perform tasks correctly. Even if ChatGPT does not know the exact answer, it could give us some hints or suggestions as which tool we should look for to solve our problem. Meanwhile, there is still plenty of room to improve for ChatGPT to better assist us in computational material science. The output results are dependent on version of ChatGPT and the access time, and the robustness of the result cannot be granted. Making very simple mistake in the code is, if not trained properly, thus we should always use it with proper caution. Human intervention and examination are still necessary for a correct computation. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Jyotirmay. So we are almost we have that last session of this particular session two. So the last lecture will be given by Mr. Hilul Sutia, and he will be talking about role of ChatGPT in the cybersecurity. Hilul?
Thank you, sir. Slide. The slide is. Good evening, everyone. In this, now I will talk about the role of ChatGPT in cybersecurity. ChatGPT can play the role of virtual or digital assistant very well and can immensely help cybersecurity professionals with its vast amount of knowledge on cybersecurity by providing personalized advice and support. ChatGPT can automate tasks such as recognizing and responding to security incidents. Doing so frees up more time to focus on more other strategic tasks. Another useful feature of ChatGPT is searching. It can also be useful in searching and understanding technical concepts in a very interactive manner. Due to this, aspiring cybersecurity professionals can use it as a learning tool and immensely speed up their learning time. Uh, Going to the next slide. Apart from providing useful information and generating code, ChatGPT can also detect vulnerability of an application in its source code. It can detect the security flaws and provide best possible solutions with its brief explanation. For example, in this Python program, which is trying to extract the admin user details, uh, which is trying to extract the admin user details. Now, I asked it if it is prone to SQL injection, which is a type of security vulnerability that occurs when an attacker is able to manipulate or inject malicious code. So not only did it was able to detect this vulnerability, but it also was able to provide a solution, also explain it in a brief manner. Going to the next slide. So here is the solution which it ChatGPT provided, and also with a brief explanation for so that the user is able to understand in a very concise way. So for thus, it can be proved to be a useful tool for not only cybersecurity professionals but also for developers. So going to the next slide. ChatGPT can generate text without any grammatical mistake. This can be exploited by misdoers to target clients by disguising itself as a legitimate organization or an individual. One can use it to write email requesting user verification by asking to enter username and password in the attached link. This could give rise to phishing cybercrimes, by which they try to deceive someone into uh, leaking out in the sensitive informations. Apart from all this, its responses can also be used by misdoers into convincing people as if they are communicating with a real support person. One can use the common questions asked by the target and use the phrases generated by ChatGPT to use in an actual cyber phishing call. So going to the next slide. Again, next slide. Another uh, risk that ChatGPT can produce is the manipulation of itself to generate malicious or suspicious program. There is also possibility that it can be tricked into producing malicious or suspicious program, which can be used by not so skilled hackers to to e- enable hackers becoming successful to create malicious or harmful code or application. Thus, the a large language model like ChatGPT can really have a great effect in the field of cybersecurity. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Hilul. So with this, we have come to the end of the session two. But We cannot conclude the whole this particular seminar without the address of concluding remarks of our director, Honorable Director Dr. James Sastry, because the whole idea of this seminar is synthesized and also meticulously planned by him. So I request our director to give his concluding remarks. Sir, please.
Thank you, Nagamani, and all of you. Thank you for listening to this very interesting topic. As you could see in the first half, we have looked at what I say is the nuts and bolts of ChatGPT. How does it work? And it is not something which will be right 100% of the time, but it is so convenient and it brings some sort of an additional strength for human beings to perform their tasks in an easier fashion. Having said that, there are a large number of cases where it will be misleading because it's mostly like a guesswork. And ChatGPT has failed in 10th class exam. We have to realize that. ChatGPT will give answers which are completely wrong, factually incorrect. As you can see, when we try to look at very specific example like Kripa talks about a particular answer. It does not have an answer, but it is learning. And it keeps on learning. And then maybe if several people will feed it, the mechanisms that are involved in the artificial neural networks will make it much more robust. And as it's a continuous learning process, in a few months or in a few years from now, it will become more and more robust. There are two types of people that might have attended today's seminar. One particular set of people would like to get into ChatGPT and improve their skill sets and get the employment. My dear friends, this is a very, very good opportunity for people to learn, go there, jump on it, focus, and then try to make yourself very familiar with this with a very clear focus in mind that you should get a job, you should make some money, and that's very much possible. And if there is one field which will make you employable, that is these types of AI based approaches. It doesn't matter whether you are a computer scientist or somebody with commerce background or a history background or languages background. It doesn't matter. Only thing is you should have a strong interest to learn how to use it and to get into it. And if you are interested, you can go to this Bloom and many other companies are there which will help you to get jobs. And one has to be a little bit focused that they have to earn money by jumping into this ChatGPT and contribute to its growth. The second type of people, for example, mostly the ACDS people in East Jorhat, that we already have a purpose. For example, most of my students work on only one idea. That is, how do we develop a software? So we will have to see that how we can try to use ChatGPT to answer our questions. Anytime the technology that is created by humans should be used as a good slave to help you, to assist you in solving your problems. And ChatGPT cannot be a master for us. ChatGPT cannot be a master scientist. ChatGPT should be used as a slave. ChatGPT should be used as a tool which we will have to intelligently use it, but we also have to understand its limitations. With this, I once again thank every one of you who attended, and all of us learned a lot. It's a continuous learning lesson, and I am amazed to see the way in which a particular plan which was made just a week ago with our people, Hridayjyoti Mahanta, Debashish Saikia, Vikram Pookan, Nagamani, And Vaikuntamani and Ashish and Hilul, they spend a lot of time on this. But it is mostly an idea which is triggered because we have taken two technical officers, Debashish and Bikram. Can you open your videos? Can we see your beautiful faces? Debashish. This guy is called Debashish Saikia. And he has been working on it for the last 1 week. And all of them are spending a lot of time. And another very handsome guy called Bikram Kukan. Can I see his face? Bikram, does he exist or he is not there? ChatGPT, can you answer me? Oh, this guy, Bikram. And these two guys have joined CSIR NEAST as technical officers in ACDS division. And I thought that when these guys have joined, we should give them some work. So they will be working on ChatGPT. So most importantly, we need to ask the right questions. And ChatGPT may not give the right answers. But probably we should use the ChatGPT to also ask the right questions. So with these things, I would like to really thank Nagamani, who is with me from here. Vaikuntamani is there. Vaikuntamani,
Yes, sir.
Nagamani, Ashish, and all the speakers, can you switch on your, please? Debashish, Bikram, Bitupan, Lipsa, Esther, Himakshi, Ashish, Nandan, Lijo, Fikru, Kripa.
Yes, sir,
Oh,
present.
fantastic people. So, can we have a photograph of the people? Jyotirmay, Dave, Hillur, double engines are there in between. Okay, good. It's really great to have. Can somebody take these photographs?
Yes, sir.
Everybody is there. I could not see somebody or I could see everybody. Rajisha, Lijo, Lijo is, oh, Lijo is there. Nandan, Nandan is with double engine. Okay, so why don't you just, Esther, Hilul. Okay, good. All the best. Please give a big hand to all these guys. Do a good job. Earlier, about 40, 50 years before, there are things to do, right things and wrong things. Doing things correctly was given a lot of importance. But now there is a paradigm shift. Now, it's not the question of doing things correctly. It's actually doing correct things. And in 2023, doing correct thing is to work on ChatGPT. Maybe we might not have done it correctly. Maybe there are so many limitations that we have. But I really appreciate that all of you working and thinking about ChatGPT and then try to have a more than a superficial knowledge is absolutely, absolutely important. So, my dear friends, don't get addicted, but you just use a little bit of your knowledge to develop these skills. And more importantly, you have to realize that if you are a scientist, you have to be driven by your scientific questions and use ChatGPT as a tool. Use ChatGPT as an instrument. And if I want to say, use it as an extremely good slave to work for you. And in my group, as we have resolved that we have to de-addict people from writing, from using commercial softwares, we all will have to work very, very hard and trying to see that how we can contribute to the growth of India, how we can make a good attempt to see that CSIR is leading the software writing, AI ML, and other techniques in the best possible way. So if any of you who attended would like to work with us, we will be extremely happy. You can contact Hridayjyoti Mohanta, the boss here, and Nagamani and many others, and it will be very nice to work with you. Thank you very much. So can we have the national anthem?
Sure, sir.
And most of the questions that you have raised, there are too many of the questions, and we will try to answer back. Okay? And we will ask ChatGPT what are the answers and then get back.
Also, we prepared this for a short.
Agashish Vikram, can you put the national anthem?
Yes. Maybe sir may agree to go as a full length because it's prepared for this computational language. So that we can see once the how many figures or tables generated from your analysis. So we request you also
volume.
Sir will see. So when you go in you send soft copy, hard copy. Understand the concept.
You're not able to hear.
More clear. And you need.
You can see this beautiful agenda, but no great national anthem that our country has.
The same girl was here, Anusha. Probably you have seen her. From those two girls. Yes. From the same girl. If she cannot take it, which is maybe a bachelor student.
Or can anybody sing?
How many of such methods now we have
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल गंगा विंध्य हिमाचल
उच्छल
जलधि तरंगा तब शुभ आशीष मांगे तब शुभ आशीष मांगे गाए जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता
जय
जय हे
which one is more optimally the downstream and we will be transforming to plant system. There is a target location in the plant then it will sit. So that sitting will depend on this how properly it binds. So these are like possibilities, 40 possibilities. So after 40 we have like 4 so 6 optimal should come out of one for these